Success will never lower its standard to accommodate us. We have to raise our standard to achieve it. I am Chitra Silvania welcoming you all to this online class, Human Reproduction, in which we have discussed the functions of reproductive system, major events of reproductive system such as gametogenesis, insemination, fertilization, cleavage, implantation, placentation, gastrulation, organogenesis, and parturition. And we have also discussed male reproductive system in which the structure of testes, accessory ducts, and glands associated with male reproductive system. In female reproductive system, we gone through the structure of ovary, fallopian tube, and uterus. Mammary glands play an important role in lactation. Finally, we gone through gametogenesis, that is, production of male and female gamete by the process of spermatogenesis and oogenesis. The structure of sperm and ovum gives you an idea about the structure of gametes. Let me ask one question. What is the need of studying human reproduction? Is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary at this age to create an awareness towards a healthy reproductive life in adolescent. In today's class, we will discuss the changes in a female body during and after fertilization, appraises the role of hormones in the process of reproduction, and understands the events in pregnancy and fetal development. First, we start with menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle or ovarian cycle occurs approximately once in every 28 to 29 days during the reproductive life of the female from puberty to menopause, except during pregnancy. There are different phases in menstrual cycle. They are menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and luteal phase. First, we see what is menstrual phase. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase when the menstrual flow occurs and lasts for 3 to 5 days. Menstrual flow is due to the breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels due to decline in the level of progesterone and estrogen. Menstruation occurs only if the released ovum is not fertilized. Absence of menstruation may be an indicator of pregnancy. It could also be due to stress, hormonal disorder, and anemia. Second one is the follicular phase. It is also called as proliferative phase. The follicular phase extends from the 5th day of the cycle until the time of ovulation. During this phase, the primary follicle in the ovary grows to become a fully mature Graafian follicle. Simultaneously, the endometrium regenerates through proliferation. These changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by the secretion of hormones like FSH and LH. FSH means follicle stimulating hormone and LH means luteinizing hormone, which increase gradually during the follicular phase. Third one is the ovulatory phase. Both LH and FSH attain peak level in the middle of the cycle, that is about the 14th day. Maximum secretion of LH during the mid-cycle called LH surge induces the rupture of the Graafian follicle and release the ovum, that is the secondary oocyte, from the ovary wall into the peritoneal cavity. This process is called ovulation. We can simply say ovulation is nothing but release of ovum from the Graafian follicle. And the last phase is the luteal phase. It is also called as the secretory phase. During luteal phase, the remaining part of the Graafian follicle is transformed into a transitory endocrine gland called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum secretes large amount of progesterone, which is essential for the maintenance of the endometrium. If fertilization takes place, it paves way for the implantation of the fertilized ovum. The uterine wall secretes a nutritious fluid in the uterus for the fetus. So, this phase is also called a secretory phase. During pregnancy, all events of menstrual cycle stop and there is no menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates completely and leaves a scar tissue called corpus albicans. It also initiates the disintegration of the endometrium, leading to menstruation, marking the next cycle. That is endocrine disorder in women in their reproductive years. It is called as polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. Polycystic means many cysts. It refers to many partially formed follicles on the ovaries which contain an egg each, but they do not grow to maturity or produce eggs that can be fertilized. If you see the symptoms of this PCOS, the women may experience irregular menstrual cycle, increased androgen levels, excessive facial or body hair growth, obesity, reduced fertility, and increased risk of diabetes. The treatment for this PCOS includes healthy lifestyle, weight loss, and targeted hormone therapy. Next, we move on to the menstrual disorders. There are many disorders related to this menstrual cycle. First one is the amenorrhea. Absence of menstruation is called as amenorrhea. If menarche does not appear till the age of 18, it is called as primary amenorrhea. Absence of menstruation for over 3 consecutive months is called secondary amenorrhea. Second one is the polymenorrhea. It is used to describe a menstrual cycle that is shorter than 21 days. Normally, the menstrual cycle is about 28 to 29 days, but in polymenorrhea, it is shorter than 21 days. Next one is the dysmenorrhea. Pain associated with menstruation is called as dysmenorrhea. It is also divided into two, primary dysmenorrhea and secondary dysmenorrhea. Next is the menorrhagia. Heavy and prolonged menstrual period that disrupts the woman's normal activities is called as menorrhagia. This menorrhagia may be due to hormonal imbalance, ovarian dysfunction, uterine fibroids, and may also due to cancer of the ovary, uterus, or in cervix. The last one is the oligomenorrhea. It is a condition with infrequent menstrual periods. It occurs in women of childbearing age. Some variation in menstruation is normal, but a woman who regularly goes more than 35 days without menstruating may be diagnosed with oligomenorrhea. In this menstrual cycle, menstrual hygiene is very important for good health, well-being, dignity, empowerment, and productivity of women. This can keep girls inactive during such periods, leading to absenteeism from schools. Clean and safe, absorbable clothing materials, sanitary pads, and menstrual cups have to be identified as materials used to manage this menstruation. Change the sanitary material frequently, and it also helps the quality of the life of women during this period. The last part is the menopause. What is menopause? Menopause is the phase in a woman's life when ovulation and menstruation stops. The average of age of menopause is 45 to 50 years. It indicates the permanent cessation, that means stop, of the primary functions of the ovaries. Next, we move on to fertilization. Fertilization in human is internal. It takes place inside the body of female. The sperms are transformed into the female genital tract during copulation, and it is called as insemination. The sperms swim towards the ovum lying in the fallopian tube. The sperms pass the cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach the ampullary isthmic junction of the fallopian tube. This is the site where ovum lies and fertilization takes place. When the sperm meets the ovum is in the secondary oocyte stage. It has not completed the second meiotic cell division. The fusion of sperm and ovum is called fertilization. For fertilization to take place, the sperms must be released in the vagina during the period the egg is alive, that is, within 24 hours after ovulation. The sperm has to pass through corona radiata and zona pellucida to reach the plasma membrane of the ovum. When the sperm reaches zona pellucida, the acrosome releases the lytic enzyme hyaluronidase, which dissolves zona pellucida. The sperm plasma membrane fuses with the egg plasma membrane. This fusion triggers the secondary oocyte to complete second meiotic division. The second meiotic division is unequal, producing second polar body and a haploid ovum. The nucleus of ovum is now called female pronucleus. The cortical granules present below the egg plasma membrane release enzymes which block the zona pellucida, which prevent further entry of sperms. The sperm nucleus is male pronucleus and fused with female pronucleus. The male and the female chromosomes mix, and this event is called karyogamy or amphimexis. Fertilization is thus completed. The fertilized ovum is called zygote. After fertilization, the zygote moves down towards the uterus, all the while undergoes series of mitotic division. This series of cell division by which single fertilized egg cell is transformed into multicellular blastula is called cleavage. The cells formed by cleavage is called blastomere. Cleavage transforms single cell zygote into many cell blastula and sextile cell morula, and finally the haloblastocyst. The blastocyst contains an outer layer of blastomere is called tropoblast layer and an inner mass of blastomere attached to tropoblast. The inner blastomere together constitute the inner cell mass. The tropoblast layer attaches to the endometrium. The inner mass continues differentiation and development. The blastocyst burrows into the uterine lining. This goes about 7 days after fertilization. The embedding of blastocyst in the wall of uterus is called implantation. The blastocyst sinks into the bed of endometrium. The endometrium grows around it. The blastocyst gets completely buried in the endometrium. After 6 hours of implantation, the embryo continues its development. There are some interesting facts in this human reproduction. If the male is said to be sterile when they fail to produce the viable sperms, that is the living sperms, and if the male fails to produce the sperms, they are referred to as azoospermia. If the prostate gland of the male get enlarged, the enlargement of prostate gland in male is called as prostatitis, and it can lead to the difficulty in urination. If the surgical removal of the testis, if they remove the testis with or by operation, then it is known as orchidectomy. The first ejaculation of the semen, semen means group of sperms, that is called as spermachy. And in female, what is meant by cesarean? Cesarean means when normal vaginal delivery is not possible due to some factors like position of the baby. If the position of the baby is not proper and the nature of the placenta, the baby is delivered through the surgical incision in the woman's abdomen and uterus. And it is also termed as abdominal delivery, or we can call it as a cesarean or C-section. Likewise, it will be called. So what about the twins? How twins are produced? Twins are two offerings produced in the same pregnancy. They are called as twins. They are divided into many types. Monozygotic twins, they are the identical twins. Monozygotic twins are produced when a single fertilized egg splits into two during the first cleavage. During the first cleavage, if the eggs are divided into two, they produce the monozygotic. They are of the same sex, they look alike, and they share the same genes. The dizygotic twins, that means they are produced from two separate eggs or fertilized by two separate sperms. The twins may be of the same sex or may be of the different sex, and they are non-identical. So, which twins are non-identical? Dizygotic twins are non-identical. And we can able to see some united twins. They are conjoined twins who are joined during birth. So, they are called as conjoined twins or united twins. If the fertilized ovum is implanted outside the uterus, it results in ectopic pregnancy. About 95% of ectopic pregnancy occur in the fallopian tube. The growth of the embryo may cause internal bleeding, infection, and in some cases even death due to rupture of the fallopian tube. Next, we move on to the maintenance of pregnancy and embryonic development. The inner cell mass in the blastula is differentiated into epiblast and hypoblast immediately after implantation. The hypoblast is the embryonic endoderm and the epiblast is the ectoderm. The cells remaining in between the epiblast and the endoderm form the mesoderm. Thus, the transformation of blastocyst into a gastrula with the primary germ layers by the movement of the blastomeres is called gastrulation. Each germ layer gives rise to specific tissues, organs, and organ systems during organogenesis. If you see the extraembryonic membrane, the extraembryonic membranes, namely the amnion, yolk sac, allantois, and chorion, protect the embryo from mechanical shock and help in the absorption of nutrients and exchange of gases. The amnion is a double-layered translucent membrane filled with amniotic fluid. The yolk sac forms a part of the gut and is the source of the earliest blood cells and body cells. The allantois forms the structural base for the umbilical cord that links the embryo to the placenta. The chorion helps in the formation of the placenta. Placenta is a temporary endocrine organ formed during pregnancy, and it connects the fetus to the uterine wall through the umbilical cord. It is the organ by which the nutritive, respiratory, and excretory functions are fulfilled. The embryo's heart develops during the fourth week of pregnancy and circulates blood through the umbilical cord and placenta as well as through its own tissue. The primary germ layers serve as the primitive tissues forms which all the body organs develop. The ectoderm gives rise to the central nervous system, and the endoderm gives rise to the respiratory, gastrointestinal, and liver, pancreas, thyroid, and parathyroids. And the mesoderm gives rise to the cartilages, bones, and muscles. Human pregnancy lasts for about 280 days or 40 weeks, and this period is called as gestation period. It can be divided into three: the first trimester, second trimester, and the third trimester. The fetus is fully developed and is ready for delivery by the end of 9 months, that is the third trimester. During pregnancy, the placenta acts as a temporary endocrine gland and produces large quantities of human chorionic gonadotrophin, human chorionic somatomammotrophine, or human placental lactogen, estrogens, and progesterone, which is essential for a normal pregnancy. A hormone called relaxin, which helps in relaxation of the pelvic ligaments at the time of childbirth. In addition, during pregnancy, the level of other hormones like estrogen and progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. also increases in blood. Last part of this chapter is parturition and lactation. Parturition is the completion of pregnancy and giving birth to the baby. The series of events that expels the infant from the uterus is collectively called labor. We can call labor as a false labor, or also called as Barter's-Hicks contraction. Throughout the pregnancy, the uterus undergoes periodic episodes of weak and strong contraction. This contraction is called as false labor. The descent of fetus causes the dilation of the cervix of the uterus and vaginal canal, resulting in a neurohumeral reflex that is called as Ferguson reflex. This initiates the secretion of oxytocin from the neurohypophysis, which in turn bring about the powerful contraction of the uterine muscles and leads to the expulsion of the baby through the birth canal. This sequence of events is called as parturition or childbirth. Relaxin is a hormone secreted by the placenta and also found in the corpus luteum. It promotes parturition by relaxing the pelvic joints and by dilation of the cervix with continued powerful contractions. Lactation. Lactation is the production of milk by mammary glands. Increased level of estrogen, progesterone, and human placental lactogen towards the end of pregnancy stimulates the hypothalamus towards prolactin releasing factors. The anterior pituitary responds by secreting prolactin, which plays a major role in lactogenesis. Oxytocin causes the let-down reflex, the actual ejection of milk from the alveoli of the mammary gland. The mammary gland secretes a yellowish fluid called colostrum during the initial few days after childbirth. It has less lactose than milk and almost no fat, but it contains more proteins, vitamin A, and minerals. Colostrum is also rich in IgA antibodies and helps to protect the infant digestive tract against bacterial infection. So, breast milk is the ideal food for infants as it contains all the constituents in suitable concentration and easily digestible. Students, I hope you all understand the concept. Refer the book and read the questions given in the assignment. If you have any doubt, you can ask me personally. Study the lesson and be safe at home. Thank you.